What's up guys, TheAmigoBoyz here, and I am finally back with another video. This time around we are doing a build guide. I know it's been a long time since I made videos, but I figured I might as well share the build that I've been playing to 93 at the moment in the Ritual League. I could probably easily have leveled higher, but I started doing boss content and yeah, this build is really good. In the start I was really struggling, just damage wise and tanky wise it was really bad since of course the assassin got nerfed, but once I started speccing into a lot more defensively like divine flesh and stuff, the build actually became really tanky and can still do a really good amount of damage. So yeah, let's just run a map really quick. The gear is expensive though, so this is not really gonna be a budget build. Don't expect it to be a budget build. I have probably sunk around 70 exals into the gear at the moment, something like that. In 1 week that is a lot, but if you do this build later on in the league, probably a lot of the stuff will be cheaper and you can probably also have some more currency to fund it. So first of all, we are using an elevated explode chest. You really need to get the elevated mod in order to get chain reacts like on the monsters. The normal 3% doesn't really cut it because you don't get that much increased damage or extra ass. So yeah, it feels really good to get an elevated explode mod, also because it gives us increased AoE as well. I've been able to do all the content in the entire game on Awakener level 9. Mind you, I do suck at the game, so I haven't done everything deathless. I haven't done Maven deathless. I've done her with 1 death so far. On Awakener 9, you could probably easily do it without deaths on like the lower Awakener levels, but I started bossing on Awakener level 9. I've done all the different Maven fights, including the one with Chayula, Cortex, Atziri, Elder and Shaper. That one is super hard. I do fail about half of my runs, but when you do them it's really rewarding and it's actually really fun, like fighting all the bosses at once. So yeah, I mainly spec'd into tankiness just so I could start farming these bosses because they are insanely profitable. But yeah, so really fast map clear, especially if you go like a linear layout where the mobs are in one like line, like a ton. You can clear them in like, I don't know, 1.5 minutes. So let's jump into the gearing here. I'm gonna start with the gear I actually have on and then move on to the skill tree and the jewels afterwards. This is the weapon we're using. We're using Cold Iron Point Dagger.
Hello.
It is a good budget option. You could probably get a better, like in the later part of the league, you can probably craft an insanely +2 rare wand with like damage over time multiplier and malevolence effect, stuff like that. It's gonna be really expensive, so this one, including the corruption, costs me, I don't know, like 2x, so nothing too fancy, and actually the 53% increased damage over time is a crazy damage boost. Yes. In the weapon here we have increased duration, steel skin and vile grace. Steel skin I recommend putting on left click, so whenever you move around you will actually automatically click it and you can still move whenever it's up, and then the cooldown goes on and you click around again when moving and you get it up permanently. So super good trick right there. As for the helmet, you need to use the devouring diadem. This is mandatory for the build, especially if you can get the duration of ailments while focused craft. It's a little bit more expensive than the regular one, but I highly recommend getting it. I think it's just an insane damage boost when you click the focus. It lasts 4 seconds, and for phasing bosses like Atziri or Shaper, stuff like that, it's insanely good. In the helm here it gives us +1 to targeted gems, so we get +1 to all of our auras, and also 20% reservation. Without the helmet here we can't go EB, so our mana cost and stuff will just be a problem, and also we can't get the aspect, because to get the aspect we need the 20% reduced here and a level 3 enlighten. A level 4 doesn't matter because we can't really fit anything else anyways. So we do get flesh and stone. This is just to get to be in the sand stance. This makes us take less damage from attacks from enemies that aren't nearby, so from far away off screens we take less damage from that, and we also have nearby enemies are blinded. It makes us like the enemies that are close, make them hit us less often, because so we can get more uptime on the Wind Dancer. Super good trick there. We also get Divergent Herald of Agony. Really important, this is Divergent with at least 15% quality to have our like poison chance capped. If you don't get the Divergent one you will have less poison chance, because here we get 1% extra poison chance per quality and we need 15. Malevolence, of course, just the regular damage over time aura. In our shield, we need to use Apex Slumber. This is insane when we go self-poison. It gives us +3 to maximum resist, and this includes our chaos resist. So when we are poisoned, we do have up to like 78, 78, 78, and 89 chaos resist. You don't even need to cap your resist while in hideout. I just did it because when I'm using dying to bosses in like the fight here, you don't want to be at minus chaos resist or whatever if you don't have a bunch of poison stacks on you. But for regular mapping, you can get minus 20 or whatever. It will be fine, because you do get, for the golden rule, you of course get 1% chaos rest per poison on you, so we can get up to 100 with 100 stacks. The shield is just also good if you get a corruption, like the physical taken as fire, physical taken as lightning, etc., just to help with the physical mitigation, because physical damage is the only real problem we have. Melee damage with divine flesh, we pretty much never die, only physical damage hurt us. Also, it has regenerate 50 energy shield per second while per poison on you. This goes up to 250, and with that you really get 250 ES regen per second, which means you can spam your skills as much as you want as long as you have poisons on you. So the only mod we can't do in the entire game when mapping is cannot regen, because this means that the regen doesn't matter and we can't use our skills. But even the less recovery rate stuff, we can easily run those maps, because 250 is way too overkill. Even with like 67% effectiveness, it's still about 80 or whatever it is. So it's still super strong. Now the amulet, this is really overkill. Again, +2 amulet with damage over time multiply is just what you need. +1 could go just fine. I do have crit multi on it because with like the keystone here that we get from our flask, the perfect agony, which you get from this flask here, crit multi does apply to as damage over time multiply, so it's just even more damage there. Helmet, shield, oh my god, I can't speak. Okay, so as for the ring, we get just damage with poison and resists. That's pretty much all we need. We need one ring with despair on hit, because that's the way we like curse the enemies. And yeah, apart from that, going to the gloves, this is where I got my aspect on. You can also get aspect on the jewelry. It's gonna be just fine. Remember that you do need a gem setup that doesn't like interfere with the aspect, so you can't support the aspect because then it would reserve more mana. Here I got my shield charge, faster attacks, fortifying, calling strike, quality on calling strike. Here actually increases the attack speed to make it even better. On the shield, on the belt here, resists life, chaos damage. I do have flask charges again when you crit an enemy. You can also get go for % life if you don't care about the flask sustain. It's not really that good. I've tried it and I don't crit that often, so I'm not even sure it helps that much. As for the two-tone boots here, if you want to get self-poison, you can either get it on a Watcher's Eye. Let's see here. Like one like this, unaffected by poison while affected by malevolence, or get the elevated mod, which you get from a Maven's Orb on the unaffected by consecrated ground prefix. You can make it unaffected by poison. This is super strong, and these boosts are just like, they're carrying the build so hard right now. Another benefit of self-poison is actually on the ascendancy here. The increased poison duration for poisons you've inflicted recently does count with self-poison, so essentially you double this mod, because every time you poison an enemy you also poison yourself, so you get 10% whenever you poison an enemy, because it pretty much doubles it, so it's really good. Self-poison is the way to go here. Not to mention we get a bunch of resists from our shields and all that. As for the chest, really just the explode mod is the most important. If you can get power charge and crit flinch charge on hit as well, that's really good. I got physical taken as lightning, just again to help with physical damage, really important, and intelligence to help with the attribute requirements. And life, of course. Yeah. Gem setups here, Ballblade Vortex, Ball Toxins, Awaken Void Manipulation, Unleash, Awaken Deadly Ailments, Awaken Unbound Ailments. If you can get Awaken Gems, it's gonna help you a ton with the damage, and they're not too expensive right now because of the this one here that actually makes Sirus drop way more Awaken Gems. Now let's move into the flasks. Get a Bleed Flask, get a Correlito Signature, very important for the build. Without this you will deal way less damage. Movement Speed Flask, Quicksilver, and get a Sirus Promise with a 20% extra as Chaos. The early damage doesn't matter, we can't deal early damage with the Cold Iron Point, and yeah, that roll just doesn't matter at all. Then last but not least, get a quartz flask that gives us dodge and phasing with a curse removal. This helps us to run curse maps, and also just super good. Get it with increased duration if you can, because it's gonna last longer. Now going into the tree, this is the skill tree. We are using a double cluster setup. It's not needed. You just need to get 2 Born of Chaos ones. You can get them in one cluster, it's gonna be just fine, but I did get 2 cluster jewels, which meant that I got some other usage from other cluster jewels like this one, which gives me an insane amount of attributes, which helped me not having to spend attributes on the plus for 30 points here. Now, so if you didn't go double cluster, you would just take this cluster up here, you wouldn't care about this one, and you split into more stuff like going up here for the life wheel, getting damage over time and region nodes here. You could also go down, get perfect agony, so whenever the flask is down you still have the buff, and get maximum chaos resist. Because I'm at 89 chaos resist, if you get this one you're going to be all the way up to 90, which is the max and the cap. Just remember 2 Bone of Chaos if you go with the Divine Flesh Keystone. To get the Divine Flesh Keystone you need to have a Glorious Vanity Jewel with Zibakua. It needs to be this Zibakua guy, or else it will have a different keystone. We also take the Eternal Youth here because it makes our individual recharge instead apply to life. This doesn't matter when we have so much ES regen, so we can still always cast our skills as long as we're poisoned, and we do have a buffer, like when we don't take damage for a few seconds we will start recharging life, so it's really good for Labyrinth and for facing bosses like Sirus where you need to wait. Yeah, so this is the skill tree. You're gonna have a path building link down below. As for the jewels, I recommend getting one with the Corrupted Blood immunity, but it's not needed as long as you have the Bleed Flask. I use the Bleed Flask on top just because Uber Atziri bleeds, they hurt like a truck. And yeah, the golden rule here, mandatory. If you don't have this, the build can't function. You need this one, and get it either with Corrupted Blood immunity or Area of Effect. That's the best stuff you can get. I don't have a Watcher's Eye in this current setup. I could get it if I swapped out my Corrupting Blood Jewel here, but it's really expensive for me to get a usable one. Like the unaffected by poison I have on my boots, so I would need to get damage over time multiplier while affected by malevolence, but that's kind of expensive. I think like 13 exalts right now. Yeah, whenever you level up to higher than 93 you can get more life nodes here or pick up the increased duration. As long as you get a bunch of these mediums with Wicked Paul and Hemorrhage, you're gonna have a bunch of increased duration. That's gonna be fine. If you don't have the Wicked Paul nodes on like a multiple cluster setup, you really want to pick up the skill duration here, just to make sure you can always be at 10 stacks of Blade Vortex, because if you don't have that then you're gonna severely hurt your damage.
Just need a moment to catch my breath.
But yeah, as for the Ascendancy, whenever you're leveling the build you just want to pick up the poison stuff first, then you do the elusive, and then you get opportunistic at last. Overall, this build has been carrying me so hard. Like, I really suck at the game, at the bosses and all that, but being tanky really helps me a lot, and it actually does decent damage. I think like 7 or 8 million Sirus DPS. We have been able to do every content in the game at Awakener 9, including all of these ones here, and Maven. So as you can see, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times 2, 12 points. So I have unlocked everything, and this is the only build I've played. So yeah, build can do every content in the game. Just bear in mind, if you roll stuff like this, you probably want to run it white or magic. Running this rare, you gotta be better than me at least to clear this, because I've failed a few of these and I've done a few of these, but it's super hard. So anyways guys, check out the path building down below. If you enjoy this kind of content, subscribe for more, and I'll see you guys in another video. Peace out.